Right then, everybody. The news came in, obviously, the other day that Crystal Palace have been booted out of the Europa League. The Court of Arbitration for Sport upheld UEFA's decision to demote Palace from the Europa League to the Conference League. CAS said, regulations are clear and do not provide flexibility to clubs that are non-compliant on the assessment date. So Palace will face either Norwegian side Fredrikstad or Danish side Midtjylland in the Conference League playoff round later in August. So not only are they not in the competition that they should be in, they've got this annoying playoff round to play, which you would fancy them to win, but it's extra football. And also as well, at a time when they've just won the Community Shield as well, a bit of cheer going on, and that's...
And they might be distracted just by how annoyed they are in every single game they're playing there. That's going to be something to kind of deal with, isn't it? And the statement from Palace has been really, really strong. It was essentially talking about how poor the process was, how lacking in transparency it was. And I think they've been essentially been brilliant in how kind of strongly worded it's been, talking about how it needs to be a sort of watershed moment for the way that football is governed. And there was an interesting quote within that statement, which I'm going to read now, which said, multi-club structures hide behind the charade of a blind trust, while clubs such as ours, who have no connection to another club whatsoever, are prevented from playing in the same competition. And it's an interesting point, because the blind trust thing it's just a transparent mechanism used to just circumvent the rules, isn't it? No one's pretending it's not that. I feel so sorry for Palace here. It's just essentially kind of sticklers for admin have just made an element of this season a lot worse here. Because there is really no kind of solid argument for demoting Palace like this.
Well, I mean, what I was going to say, Vish, is that they did break the rules, and I think
punished,
and should be punished.
Yeah.
And
I didn't think you were going to say that on mic, but that's good of you. What was the other stuff you were saying about the muggy little fans?
No, I think I've
keep
made
it down.
Something about their eagle.
I think I've made the point.
Yeah.
Good riddance. No, I mean, is there any? I mean, I think personally, Jim's kind of articulated this quite well, as others have. Do you have any kind of feeling of, they didn't comply originally with what's going on? One can say, well, the rules are a bit silly and whatnot. That is a very Manchester City argument, by the way. Do you think it is 100%, feel sorry for Palace? Do you think there's any kind of room to say, any sympathy with UEFA in that they're saying, well, look, these are the rules. We don't want multiple ownership being a thing in competitions further down the line. They're thinking, what if two sides owned by the same guy are playing in a final, semi-final, whatever?
Because this is not that, is it?
No, it's
miles
not
away
that.
from it. That's the issue, right?
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
I mean, yes, there's obviously a bit of that in, I suppose, how we should not necessarily talk about it, but react maybe to the ruling, because there is something there that they have been found guilty of. At the same time, as Jim said, it's not quite the same thing as other people. Well, as Jim and Crystal Palace's statement said, people hide behind that blind trust, and they're able to navigate the rules in a way that when they change constantly, as they have been doing since multi-club ownership has been a thing to be wary of, teams have just adjusted and been quite nimble about it. And in Palace's case, there's almost a situation there where they've risen too quickly into these competitions and not had a moment to think, oh, right, we should probably look into our own admin and try and see how we might be able to circumnavigate.
Well, Marianakis and Forrest did that.
Yeah, they did, yeah. Because the other thing about it is
he's a stickler for the rules, as we know.
He is famously, yeah. Apart from just don't fucking walk on the pitch. But there's almost an element here that because the person that made them come a cropper, John Textor, has been so public in all the things he's done wrong throughout his ownership, he's almost become a beacon for, there's a moth to a flame if you're someone who's being pernickety about those admin rules and looking at this American businessman and thinking, I don't think he knows what he's doing. So therefore, there's a lot of stuff to go into. Yeah. It's almost like going into his records because he's dodgy, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard not to feel sorry for them. They're going to lose out on a serious chunk of money by not being in the Europa League, full stop. Yes, they're more likely to win the Conference League and they'll still enjoy it. The other thing, and I'm looking forward to it because I think it'll be interesting, it feels like you get a bit of clout when you boo the Champions League anthem. The Europa League and Europa Conference anthem, they're too cheery.
See where you're going with this.
Yeah, because you wouldn't boo Balamori, would you? Or like
not knowingly.
No, but yeah, unwittingly.
I didn't realise.
Refuse to stand for Balamori.
Well, it was another one.
Yeah, but they'll have that to contend with, and it'll seem a bit silly. But
yeah, I think
they've got the legal side of it and silliness.
Yes, I honestly think they're going to win the Europa Conference League now. My thoughts.
Yeah,
on
you've been
this.
saying this a long time. So
look, I'm trying to. Here you go, Palace. I'll try and give you a bit of positivity here because obviously you'll be pig sick about this decision, and I get that because of the financial thing. There's bigger clubs to play in the Europa League, so I understand all that.
The booing thing as well.
The booing thing,
yeah.
I think Palace. What's going to happen here? Palace will win the Conference League, so they go into the Europa League. Whereas if they were in the Europa League this coming season, I'm not sure if they would win that competition. They'd have a chance.
Well, it's different now that Champions League teams don't get, as it was last year. Champions League teams.
I said they'd have
still a higher standard though.
Yeah, of course,
it is higher standard. They'd have a chance, and obviously Glasner at the wheel. You've always got a chance to win a cup competition. With
also, I did like that when they dropped down, they were like, "Well, we were going to try and win it." It's like, I say that all the time. I could have been a contender. Yeah,
there you go. So I think this extends Palace's European run because they've got European football this season and they'll get European football next season in the Europa League, of course.
Yeah,
having won the Europa Conference League.
I really hope that you're right. Obviously, we all want Palace to win that competition, and there will be a sense of justice being done with a trophy on the way as well, which would be brilliant. Sort of back-to-back trophies in successive seasons when you've never won one before would be excellent as well. But Palace are not Chelsea, If you
they're
look
not West
at,
Ham either.
They're not, no. But if you look at kind of when they come up against an equivalent of a Real Betis, who aren't in there this season, but Fiorentina obviously are. The Fiorentina live in this competition. You might fancy them, but there is competition in there. Strasbourg are in there as well. I mean, there are teams like AZ Alkmaar, Admiral Alkmaar, Besiktas, Rayo Vallecano. A lot of those teams, you go, Palace probably would have that, but
okay, Jim,
can we just go to Palace Fiorentina now? Is what I'm saying. Can we just do it now?
Right. So you've mentioned those sides, and I understand why you're doing it. I'm going to be a little cheeky. I think Palace are going to win the Europa Conference League. Who do you fancy for it?
I fear that it might finally be Fiorentina's time.
Yeah, I suppose you couldn't begrudge them that.
I want Palace to win it, obviously.
Yeah. I like the way you started that.
Just nervous for them.
Palace are not Chelsea, which would have been Palace's argument to cast.
Yeah.
We're not Chelsea, come on.
Crying out loud.
They seem to be doing all right.
Yeah. More bad news for Palace. Tottenham are exploring a deal for Palace's Eberechi Eze. I think if he went to Arsenal...
bullshit.
This
needs to be stopped.
If he goes to Arsenal, they'll go, yeah, fair enough. If he goes to Spurs, come on, that's a step down. But they are a Champions League side, Vish, as I keep trying to remind people.
The other thing, we talk about PSR and fair play and all this, but with the...
Yeah, throw the book at them.
But with less money coming in, they've got... they're not able to, I suppose, push their wage ceiling as high as they maybe would have done, and stuff like this is going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, with that injury to James Maddison, which is
it becomes really, really, really crucial position now, doesn't it?
Yeah, and they obviously tried to sign Morgan Gibbs-White as well. That didn't happen. So it kind of makes sense going for Eberechi Eze, who we just know he's such a fabulous player. And, I mean, Arsenal, as I understand it from reading the reports, they're trying to move on a few players. Trossard was named.
Potentially there's talk that Trossard or Martinelli could be up for sale, depending on the kind of bid that comes in. And there's some fringe players that Arsenal historically are quite bad at moving on.
Yes.
Talk that Zinchenko might actually see out his contract rather than move now. So there are players they need to move on. Reece Nelson.
Just give Reece Nelson to Fulham. Stop this pissing around.
He wants a loan for another season, and the club are trying to. Arsenal are certainly trying to make it permanent, etc.
He's not Jack Grealish. He doesn't get to decide.
But Arsenal have been quite poor at selling, and that has not improved in this summer. So the talk is that there's already been conversation with Eze. Some reports say there's already been conversation with Crystal Palace. So essentially, it seems like Arsenal need to get players out the door before they can sanction another move like this. And I think they do need another kind of creative player. He would absolutely improve the squad. It's not you might look at him and go, oh, where does he fit immediately? But I think sometimes that you can overthink that. He spends a lot of his time kind of in wide areas. If you look at his heat maps, like I do, because I'm just refreshing Arsenal Eze about every 20 minutes, trying to find new information on this. But yeah, if he goes to Spurs, I think there needs to be some sort of inquiry, just nationally.